Big Potential: How Transforming the Pursuit of Success Raises Our Achievement, Happiness, and Well-Being, by Shawn Achor. Introduction. Imagine you're in a boat, drifting down a river deep in a Southeast Asian jungle. It's 1935. The air is thick and humid, and as dusk settles, the first stars begin to appear in a sky unspoiled by city lights. A biologist named Hugh Smith is far from his home in Washington state, patiently observing the alien landscape. He looks toward the mangrove trees lining the riverbank, and then something impossible happens. An entire tree suddenly glows, as if a lightning bolt shot out of it instead of striking it. A moment later, it goes dark. Then, it glows again. And again. On, then off. And then, in a moment that bends reality, all the trees, for 1,000 feet along the river, flash in perfect, silent unison. The entire forest pulses with light, a coordinated, magical spectacle. When Drive. Smith returned home and wrote about what he saw, synchronous fireflies, the scientific community laughed at him. They called his account fabricated. It seemed biologically, mathematically, and physically impossible. Why would fireflies, competing to attract a mate, all flash at once? Wouldn't that just hide them in the crowd? How could millions of tiny insects, with limited vision, coordinate with such precision? The answer to that mystery holds the key to unlocking a level of success and happiness that most of us have been taught is impossible. It reveals a fundamental flaw in the way we chase our dreams. Today, we're diving into Big Potential by Shawn Achor, a book that challenges the very foundation of what we believe about achievement. Achor is one of the world's leading experts on happiness, a former Harvard researcher whose work has reached millions. But in this book, he reveals that happiness is only the beginning. He argues that our society is obsessed with a myth, the myth of the lone superstar, the solo genius, the survival of the fittest. We're taught to be the brightest light, to stand out from the crowd, to achieve it all by ourselves. Achor calls this small potential. It's the limited success you can achieve alone. But what if, like those fireflies, our greatest power isn't in standing out, but in lighting up together? By the end of our journey today, you will understand the secret of big potential, the incredible success you can only achieve with others. You'll learn why the smartest person in the room isn't always the most successful, why the best teams aren't filled with superstars, and how helping others shine is the fastest way to brighten your own future. This isn't just about being nice. It's about being smarter, stronger, and more successful. It's a new formula for achievement, and it starts by understanding the hidden connections all around us. Book summary. Let's go back to those fireflies. Decades after Hugh Smith was ridiculed, modern science finally figured out the how and the why. Researchers found that when a male firefly flashes alone in the dark, dense jungle, he has a mere 3% chance of getting a response from a female. 3%. But when they flash together, in that breathtaking, synchronous rhythm, the response rate for females jumps to 82%. Think about that. Their success didn't just double or triple. It exploded. By working as an interconnected community, they became astronomically more successful. They weren't competing against each other for a limited resource, they were coordinating to expand the opportunities for everyone. By shining together, they created a signal so bright it could be seen for miles, attracting even more fireflies to join their light. This is the central lesson of Shawn Achor's work. Our modern world has the formula for success completely backward. It starts when we're young. Achor tells a touching story about his son, Leo. Whenever Leo would learn a new skill, Achor, like any proud parent, would praise him, saying, "You did that all by yourself." Soon, little Leo would proudly parrot it back, "All by myself." It was a light bulb moment for Achor. From our first steps, we are conditioned to believe that independent achievement is the ultimate prize. In school, you study alone to beat others on exams. If you ask for help, it's called cheating. You're ranked, graded, and sorted based on individual metrics. We're taught that success is a zero-sum game. For you to win, someone else has to lose. We spend the first 2 decades of our lives being praised for what we can do alone. But then, for the rest of our lives, our success is almost entirely dependent on how well we work with others. This creates a massive disconnect. It's why so many straight-A students, the ones who are superstars in the classroom, suddenly struggle when they enter the workplace. They've been trained for a solo sport, only to find out that life is a team game. Achor saw this firsthand during his 12 years at Harvard. He watched as some of the brightest students in the world, accustomed to being the smartest kid in their high school, arrived on campus and panicked. They were no longer the only superstar. So they did what they'd always been taught to do. They worked harder, sequestered themselves in the library, and tried to outshine everyone else. The result wasn't brilliance. It was darkness. A staggering 80% of Harvard students report experiencing depression during their time there. This isn't just an Ivy League problem. The average age for a depression diagnosis has plummeted from 29 in the late 1970s to just 14 years old today. Our frantic chase for individual achievement is leaving us frazzled, fragile, and lonely. But what if the entire premise is wrong? What if success isn't about survival of the fittest, but as Achor brilliantly reframes it, survival of the best fit? It's not just about how smart or creative or driven you are. It's about how well you connect with, contribute to, and benefit from the ecosystem of people around you. To prove this, Achor ran one of the largest studies on human potential ever conducted at Harvard. He collected data on 1,600 students, looking at everything from their SAT scores and family income to their sleep schedules and social habits. He was searching for the perfect formula, the individual attributes that predicted success. He found almost nothing. The students with perfect test scores weren't necessarily getting the best grades in college. Wealthy students were no happier or more successful than their less privileged peers. But there was one massive exception. One variable that predicted thriving, both academically and personally, more than anything else: social connection. The students who felt the most interconnected and socially supported were the happiest, the most optimistic, the most resilient against stress, and the most successful. Success at Harvard, it turned out, wasn't about being the lone genius. It was about finding your place within a constellation of stars. This discovery is so profound that it's being replicated at the highest levels of the business world. Google, a company built on finding patterns in data, launched a massive initiative called Project Aristotle. Their mission was simple: build the perfect team. Their first assumption was the obvious one. To build a dream team, you fill it with dream players, the individual superstars with the highest IQs, the most impressive resumes, the best skills. So Google's data scientists analyzed everything across 180 teams. Personality, background, intelligence, skill sets, you name it, they measured it. The conclusion was astonishing, and it echoed exactly what Achor found at Harvard. There was no pattern. The individual traits of the team members, the who of the equation, didn't seem to matter. The company that is the best in human history at finding patterns couldn't find one for individual success in a team environment. So if the who doesn't predict success, what does? It was all about the ecosystem. Project Aristotle found that the best teams weren't the ones with the smartest people. They were the ones where members had high social sensitivity, an awareness of each other's feelings and needs. They were the teams where everyone spoke in roughly equal measure, and where everyone felt psychologically safe to share their ideas without fear of judgment. In other words, the smartest group isn't the one with the smartest individuals, it's the one with the highest collective intelligence. Your potential isn't just about you. It's about how you fit. This leads us to one of the most memorable and visceral stories in the book. It's an experiment conducted by a researcher named William Muir, and it involves chickens. Imagine you're a farmer, and your goal is to breed the most productive egg-laying chickens in the world. The survival of the fittest model gives you a clear strategy. Find your most productive chickens, the superstar layers, and breed them together. Then take the most productive of their offspring and breed them. You repeat this for generations until you have a flock of hyper-productive super chickens. So that's what Muir did. But he also kept a second, average group of chickens and just let them breed normally. After 7 generations, the result wasn't what you'd expect. The superstar flock was a disaster. The hyper-productive chickens had become so aggressive and competitive that they had literally pecked each other to death. Only 3 survived, and they were featherless and battered. And the normal, average group? They were thriving. They were healthy, fully feathered, and were producing 160% more eggs than the so-called MVPs. Muir's conclusion was groundbreaking. When a group focuses only on individual competition, they waste all their energy maintaining a pecking order. But when they work together and support each other, that energy gets transferred into production. Everybody wins. Our schools and companies are often designed like that first group of chickens. We rank employees on a curve. We celebrate the top salesperson. We give the valedictorian speech. We create environments where people believe they have to peck their way to the top. The result isn't a team of superstars. It's a team of featherless, stressed-out chickens who are underperforming. The alternative is what Achor calls the virtuous cycle. It's the engine of big potential. A vicious cycle is when one negative thing leads to another, spiraling downward. But a virtuous cycle is an upward spiral. When you help someone else succeed, it doesn't diminish your own success. It creates more resources, more energy, and more opportunities that flow back to you, fueling even greater success for everyone. Making others better is the fastest path to making yourself better. This shift in mindset, from small potential to big potential, is the core of the book. And to help us make that shift, Achor gives us a practical framework he calls the 5 seeds of big potential. A seed, after all, can't grow alone. It needs sun, soil, and water. In the same way, you can't grow your potential alone. You need the ecosystem around you. Let's plant those seeds. The first seed is surround. Surround yourself with a star system of positive influencers. We often think we need to be the lone superstar. But Achor argues that the goal isn't to be a single, bright star. It's to be a superstar within a constellation of stars. The main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. He tells a powerful personal story about his own struggle with depression at Harvard. On the outside, he was checking all the boxes of success: Ivy League school, military scholarship, high honors. But on the inside, he was lonely and isolated, trying to do everything all by himself. His depression was rooted in this mindset. The turning point came when he finally reached out. He dropped the act that everything was perfect and opened up to 12 of his closest friends and family, admitting he needed help. Their support was immediate and overwhelming. But something else happened. They started opening up to him about their own struggles, creating a level of connection he'd never experienced. His depression broke, not because he became stronger on his own, but because he built a stronger system around him. The height of your potential is predicted by the people who surround you. To build this system, Achor says we need 3 types of people in our lives. 1. Pillars. These are your rocks. The people who have your back no matter what, offering unconditional support. 2. Bridges. These are your connectors. They link you to new people, new ideas, and new opportunities outside your current circle. 3. Extenders. These are the people who push you out of your comfort zone. They have different skills or perspectives and challenge you to grow. By consciously building a diverse network of these positive influencers, you create a super bounce for your potential, where everyone lifts each other higher. The second seed is expand. Expand your power by helping others lead from every seat. So many of us believe that leadership is a title. You're either a manager, a CEO, a principal, or you're not a leader. This is a classic small potential mindset. Big potential recognizes that true power isn't hoarded at the top, it's distributed throughout the system. Achor shares a stunning story from Kaiser Permanente, a large healthcare organization. They launched a program called I Saved a Life. The idea was simple but radical. Empower all hospital employees, even those without medical training, to provide care. They trained receptionists and call center staff to do more than just book appointments. When a patient called for any reason, say, an earache, the representative would check if they were overdue for a preventative screening, like a mammogram. If so, they'd offer to book it for them. The results were transformative. Of the 1,179 women diagnosed with breast cancer in their hospitals after the program began, a staggering 40% had booked that life-saving mammogram at the suggestion of a non-medical staff member. In total, the program was credited with saving 471 lives. Receptionists, people who never step into an operating room, became heroes. Why? Because the organization expanded the definition of who could lead. They empowered people to lead from whatever seat they were in. When you believe that only certain people have the power to create change, you shut off your own potential. But when everyone in the system feels a sense of ownership, there's no limit to what can be achieved. The third seed is enhance. Enhance your resources by becoming a prism of praise and recognition. Praise is one of the most powerful and renewable resources we have, but we use it all wrong. We treat it like a scarce commodity. We believe that for us to get recognition, we have to hoard it. Achor tells the story of Sarah, a lawyer competing against a colleague for a single partner position at her firm. Her mentor's advice was cutthroat: it's either you or her. In her interviews, she started by selling herself, highlighting her individual accomplishments. But it felt wrong. In her next meeting, when a partner praised her for a successful project, she did something different. She thanked him, but then she immediately praised the junior associate who stayed up for 3 days to help her. Then she praised her competitor, Karen, calling her one of the smartest lawyers she'd ever worked with. She was terrified she just lost her shot. A month later, the senior partner called her in. She got the position. He told her that while both candidates were brilliant, Sarah's willingness to praise others was the deciding factor. He said, "You made partner because you are not only good, you are good for the firm." She acted as a prism of praise. A prism doesn't just absorb light, it refracts it, enhances it, and makes it more beautiful. When you shine the light of praise on others, you don't diminish your own light, you amplify it for the entire system. To do this right, Achor warns us to stop one of our most common habits: comparison praise. When we say, "You were the best speaker today," or "Your report was better than Jack's," we're not actually praising, we're comparing. We're trying to lift one person up by pushing another down. This reinforces the toxic, zero-sum game of small potential. Instead, praise the process, praise the effort, and praise the base, the support system that makes high performance possible. Praise the person who made the assist, not just the one who scored the goal. The fourth seed is defend. Defend the system against negative influences. Achieving big potential doesn't mean living in a world free of problems. Sadness, anger, and fear aren't the enemy. In fact, they're useful. They signal that something is wrong and needs to change. The true opposite of joy isn't sadness, it's apathy, the loss of energy to even try. The goal isn't to eliminate negativity, but to defend your system from being overwhelmed by it. Stress, Achor explains, is like secondhand smoke. Research shows that just being near someone who is stressed can raise your own cortisol levels by 26%. You can literally catch stress from others. So how do you defend yourself? Achor offers several powerful strategies. One is to build a moat. Just as the castle of Mont Saint-Michel was protected by the tide, you can create a tidal moat in your day. His rule is simple: no media before breakfast, and no media before bed. No news, no email, no social media. Why? Because just 3 minutes of negative news in the morning can increase your likelihood of reporting your day as unhappy by 27%, 6 to 8 hours later. By protecting your most vulnerable moments, when you first wake up and right before you sleep, you build a defense that protects your entire day. Another powerful defense is mental Aikido. Aikido is a martial art where you don't block an attack, you use its energy and redirect its momentum. You can do the same with stress. Instead of fighting stress, recognize that behind every stressor is something you care about. You're not stressed about your inbox being full of spam, you're stressed because it's full of important emails from clients and colleagues. You stress because you care. By asking yourself, why does this matter? You reconnect with the meaning behind the stress. This reframes the stressor from a threat into a challenge, redirecting its energy from debilitating to enhancing. The fifth and final seed is sustain. Sustain the gains by creating collective momentum. We've all had that experience of going to a conference or a workshop and feeling incredibly inspired, only to return to our desk and have that energy slowly drain away. Achor reminds us of Newton's first law of motion: an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. The friction of daily life is that unbalanced force. Without a positive force constantly pushing us forward, our momentum will inevitably slow down. That positive force is collective momentum. It's the energy that comes from a shared vision and shared celebration. Achor shares a beautiful story of a fifth-grade teacher, Brian O'Connor. To inspire his students, he has them watch CNN Heroes, a show profiling everyday people doing extraordinary things. The students then write letters to these heroes, thanking them and inviting them to a Skype party. When the students celebrate these real-world heroes, something amazing happens. They start to become heroes themselves. The hero stories provide a vivid direction, a clear, inspiring picture of a meaningful future. That shared vision acts like a magnet, pulling the entire class's energy in the same positive direction. This is the power of visualization. But it's not just about daydreaming. Research shows that the more vividly and in detail we can imagine a positive future, the more our brain orients itself to take the actions needed to get there. And finally, to sustain momentum, we must celebrate the wins, both big and small. Celebrations are the ultimate motivating force. They are not just the reward for reaching the finish line, they are the fuel that gets us there. When a team celebrates together, it reinforces their shared identity and re-energizes them for the next challenge. These 5 seeds: surround, expand, enhance, defend, and sustain, work together to create a powerful virtuous cycle. They lift the invisible ceiling that small potential places on us and open up a world of achievement that is bigger, brighter, and far more meaningful than anything we could accomplish alone. The journey begins with a simple shift in perspective. To stop asking, "How successful can I be?" and start asking, "How successful can we be?" Because, as the fireflies taught us, the brightest light is the one we share. Commentary. As we close our exploration of big potential, it's worth pausing to reflect on why this message feels so urgent right now. We live in an age of paradox. We are more technologically connected than ever before in human history, yet rates of loneliness are at an all-time high. We have access to more information about success than any generation before us, yet burnout, stress, and anxiety are defining features of modern work and school. Shawn Achor's book provides a powerful diagnosis for this modern ailment. We've been chasing the wrong thing. We've been sold a bill of goods, a vision of success that is individualistic, competitive, and ultimately, isolating. We've been trying to win a team sport by playing a solo game. The most profound lesson from this book, for me, is the redefinition of strength. Our culture often equates strength with rugged individualism, the ability to handle it all on your own. But Big Potential teaches us that true strength is found in connection. It's the courage to ask for help, the wisdom to praise others, and the leadership to empower everyone around you. Resilience isn't about how you endure, it's about how you recharge, and we recharge through others. This isn't a call to abandon personal ambition. It's a call to pursue it more intelligently. The book doesn't say you can't be a superstar. It says you can't be a superstar alone. Your talent, your intelligence, your drive, these things still matter immensely. But they are force multipliers, not solo instruments. Their true power is only unlocked when you connect them to the ecosystem around you. So how do we start living this today? It can feel overwhelming, but change always begins with a single, small action. Here are 3 simple ways to start planting the seeds of big potential in your own life, right now. First, practice the 2-minute praise. Achor suggests this, and it's incredibly powerful. Tomorrow morning, before you dive into your day, take 2 minutes to send one email or text message to someone in your life, a friend, a family member, a colleague, praising or thanking them for something specific. This simple act does 2 things. It immediately strengthens a bond in your social ecosystem, and it trains your brain to start scanning the world for the positive. Second, reframe your next stressor with mental Aikido. The next time you feel that wave of stress, whether it's from a looming deadline, a difficult conversation, or a packed schedule, pause and ask yourself one question: why does this matter to me? By connecting the stress to a deeper value or meaning, you transform it from a threat that drains your energy into a challenge that fuels it. Third, share the credit. The next time you achieve something, no matter how small, make a point to publicly and specifically thank one person who helped you get there. Instead of absorbing the praise, become a prism. Shine that light outward. You'll not only make that person feel valued, but you'll also reinforce the truth that success is always a shared victory. The book ends with a beautiful story about the Maasai warriors of Kenya. When they greet each other, they don't ask, "How are you?" They ask a more important question: "How are the children?" The traditional response, whether you have children or not, is always the same: "All the children are well." This greeting contains a deep and ancient wisdom. It recognizes that the well-being of any single individual is inextricably linked to the well-being of the entire community. Things can't be truly good for one of us unless they are good for all of us. This is the heart of Big Potential. That was a summary of Big Potential by Shawn Achor. We've covered the core ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It shows you the layout, but it can't replace the experience of actually walking the trails, meeting the people, and breathing the air. The real power of this book lies in the stories and the science that bring these ideas to life. If any of the concepts we've discussed, from the synchronous fireflies to the featherless chickens to the power of a praise prism, have sparked something in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a chance to fundamentally shift the way you approach your life, your work, and your relationships. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.